Well, as you saw, Deanna Witkowski is an award-winning jazz pianist, great job, and composer. She joins us to talk about her book on Mary Lou Williams. Thanks for being with us, Deanna.
Thanks so much for having me, Kevin and Bishop Reed. It's a pleasure to be here.
And as we said, a beautiful performance there, a great intro to the great jazz of Mary Lou Williams. Tell us what made you to decide to write a book on her work and her faith.
Well, I've been researching and performing the work of Mary Lou Williams since the year 2000. It was that year that the late pianist and friend of Williams, Dr. Billy Taylor, invited me to perform at the Kennedy Center at the Mary Lou Williams Festival. And of course, I accepted his invitation, and then I realized I don't know anything about Mary Lou other than her reputation as this amazing jazz pianist and composer, but I don't know her music. So that started what's been now an over 20-year journey. And then I had also recently, when I started learning about Mary Lou, there was another biography that had just come out about her called Morning Glory, and it talked about her liturgical music that she wrote after she converted to Catholicism in 1957. And I had just written my first jazz mass setting for an Episcopal church in New York, and that really drew me in. So kind of all these experiences led Liturgical Press actually to contact me. They found me and asked me to write the new biography on Williams.
Deanna, you know, people sometimes think that composing, performing music is distant from faith life. I don't believe that. But I know that Mary Lou combined her music, her conviction for civil rights, and her solid faith. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Bishop Reed, I really appreciate you mentioning, I think sometimes there's a stereotype of musicians, and being a musician myself, I know that we really have to have the courage of our convictions and have a lot of faith and trust just simply to, survive, to have a vision of something that you hear or want to see happen in your music, and to have that happen. And Mary Lou was someone who always, I really believe, practiced discernment. So she was someone who always listened, even before she converted to Catholicism, to her inner voice, which led her to bring people into her home who had financial problems or who struggled with addiction. She gave away her food. She would give away her pay, actually, at times, to others who just needed money more than she thought that she did. I mean, she was living a very ascetic life for a number of years, and she really believed that jazz, because of its roots in African American suffering, this is what she believed. She believed that it was a spiritual music and that it belonged everywhere. It belonged in church, it belonged in the sidewalk, community center, schools. So for her, there was just this whole bigger picture. Music was never separate from the rest of her life or from her faith life.
And I understand Mary Lou's hometown is now your own. Tell us about the influence of Pittsburgh for each of you.
Yes, well, I just relocated to Pittsburgh during the pandemic a year and a half ago. I had been living in New York City, right in Manhattan on 42nd Street for 23 years. So it's a big change. And I started coming to Pittsburgh about 3 years ago, doing performances that were Mary Lou Williams centric, and then also doing research on the books. And she was from there, and I just fell in love with the jazz community there, with the people there, with the city itself. It's very welcoming, and I found that there was this sense of embracing that I didn't always feel in New York. And I felt very quickly I was embraced by the jazz community in New York. And for Mary Lou, there were many people. She grew up there in her childhood. She was born in Atlanta, but moved there when she was about 5 years old, and then lived in New York for most of her life as an adult. But really, a lot of pianists who came through town who were traveling musicians influenced her and taught her. So specific neighborhoods like the Hill District for Mary Lou was a very important part of her early musical development.
Just curious, Deanna, in the midst of the pandemic, have you been able to work on Any other projects?
Yes, it's been kind of amazing, how God has worked things out. I mean, so I was able to record a new album called Force of Nature, featuring 11 compositions by Mary Lou Williams. My bandmates are scattered right now. I mean, my regular trio, my bass player is in Austin, Texas. My drummer is actually in Ghana right now, but he's usually in New York. And we were able to come together, have a trumpet player come join us from Rochester. And then I also played with another rhythm section from Pittsburgh. And we did a whole new record called Force of Nature. And that's coming out in just a few weeks. And so I'm really excited to have both the book and the recording, because the main thing for me about the book is I want people to put down the book and then go listen to Mary Lou's music.
As we prepare to move into a new year, this book from Liturgical Press is a great gift for people. Music for the Soul. Where can people get a copy, Deanna?
Well, the best place is to go directly to my website, which is Deanna Jazz, DEANNA Jazz.com. And if they want an ebook, they can get that at litpress.org.
Fantastic. By the way, do you ever get to the cathedral in Pittsburgh?
Yes. Well, so this is funny. So I'm also a second-year doctoral student at the University of Pittsburgh, and the music building is 2 blocks from the cathedral.
The only reason I ask is my classmate, Father Chris Stubna, is the rector of the cathedral. So if you ever bump into him, tell him I said hi.
Oh, I definitely will do that.
Father Chris Stubna. Chris with a K.
Great. Okay, I'll make sure. Mary Lou premiered her first Mass in 1967 at the cathedral with students she was teaching at a Catholic high school.
Interesting.
Sisters of Charity High School in Pittsburgh. Yeah, so there's all this history there. And right across the street, the next year, in 1965, she did a piano workshop with Duke Ellington, Willie the Lion Smith, herself, some other great pianists at the Pittsburgh Jazz Festival, which she helped found with the partnership of the Catholic Diocese, which is a pretty amazing story that I talk about a lot in the book.
Great city, Pittsburgh, I'll tell you. Deanna, it was great to have you here in the living room with us. A continued Merry Christmas, and may God bless you in wonderful ways in this new year.
Thank you so much, Bishop Reed, and Merry Christmas to you and to Kevin as well.
Very good. God bless.